Welcome to the reboot of the Mk4 podcast, or maybe we should call it Mk5.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm Babba, and this is
Sapper.
Sapper.
Sapper. This is the new and improved version of the podcast. Now we have cameras. Thanks to the
ugly mugs.
Yes, thanks to the global pandemic, we have invested in advanced equipment for recording, which means that we can show the beer, not only drink it. And okay, so let's see. What we have there.
First beer is Babaroga. It is a pale ale from Pivara Semsburg.
It sounds very. I heard it was made from children's tears.
Indeed.
Yes, that's the secret recipe.
That's why it's so bitter.
And salty. Actually, that sounds terrible. Okay, I have here. I have an ale. It's apparently a double IPA, IPA, which I have no idea what it stands for. Probably it means it was.
So whatever. Is it IPA or IPA?
It's actually a dipper. It's called Quantum. It's made by Pellizzon. I'm not sure if it's. Yeah, I think it's Pellizzon Brewery, which is. I think it's Slovene for something, or it's a place, or it's something to do with Slovenia. It's from Slovenia. That much I've gathered. And also I have some other stuff which I haven't drunk in a while, which is a Westmalle Trappist Double and another I have no idea how it's pronounced actually. Westmalle Trappist Triple. Slightly more alcohol than the double. So I'm thinking of starting with the double, triple, and then finishing off with the quantum. That would be my choice for the eve.
Nice. I think I'm gonna start with the aforementioned Babaroga.
Right.
So IPA and let's see. I think it's 5.4% alcohol. And next one in my mini fridge that I have ready is from Hacker Shore Münchnagold. You have it?
Münchner.
And they come with these like special caps. They do a popping sound. Quite nice to
in case
serve the beer, I believe. And of course, the standard Ożysko. To top it all off. Just a normal lager.
To wash away the tears.
Indeed. And this is a Münchner lager. It is filtered. And it is 5.5% alcohol.
Look at you. Filtered.
Yeah.
Nothing cheap there.
Of course, do not forget your mugs.
Oh shit.
Your pints.
That is a good point, which I do not have one.
Always pour your beer. Remember.
Pour it directly into your belly.
Yes. And then have digestion issues. Issues,
yes.
One might say.
Shit, I gotta open this thing now. Please don't wash all over me. No, it's beer's gonna bukkake me. No.
Bukkake.
Okay, good. No. Cheers, mate. So let's see.
Damn, this is good. This is really good. So, it's from a local brewery. Shout out, Babaroga.
This is from Belgium. They're rich anyway, so...
No shout out to them.
No shout. They're doing quite well, I'm afraid. They don't need no shouts. But yeah.
Okay, so about our first order of business, done.
Which is the annexation of Austria.
No.
Oh, that's the other podcast. Okay.
No. Having introduced our beer, now let's start off with a gaming topic. We are talking about games here,
right.
not only beer. and
Yes.
mispronouncing stuff.
Yeah, it's very misleading, the instruments behind it.
Yeah. We're a hardcore heavy metal band.
Of course.
I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway, I wanted to talk about, of course, the game Valheim, of which I'm heavily impressed, as you know.
As we are all
in the boat to Odin's homeland. Wait. Yeah. Anyway.
What?
The topic I wanted to actually tackle was the amount of stuff that surprised us in the game, and like the vast possibilities.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of the most iconic moments that we had, I believe, was when we were mining all that copper and shit, and then we couldn't transport it naturally, as the boat that we made had only 4 slots, and we thought we could just carry it around with us. But then we had the idea, why don't we just pack it in the cart and load the cart onto the boat?
No.
And then the game allowed it, actually.
Yeah, well, it didn't strictly allow it, but it did not block it entirely. I think we're so used to playing games and these just the engines, the way they're built, that you're immediately apprehensive when you have to put 2 physicalized objects on top of each other, which you immediately expect utter chaos, because these games usually, they first of all, the simulation that they run has to be very simple and crude. So that, which means that, at least as far as I understand it, is that, say your whatever it is, your box standing on another box, if it's moving or if it's a more complex geometry, it sometimes calculates part of it to be going through the other object, and then it's like, oh shit, I gotta apply a reverse force, a physicalized force, to send it up. So that's why you see that, like, you've seen probably in games like in Skyrim as well. So sometimes stuff just won't stay still. It's like moving around a bit.
All over the place.
Because it cannot find that it doesn't have the sufficient accuracy of the simulation to say, okay, this should stand here, which is exactly what happened in Valheim. But it actually kind of works. The game doesn't just block it entirely, which is a good thing, I think.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to hold their hand or block everything. So just because you can't make it exactly perfect. Yeah. I mean, that was surprising that it worked so well.
Especially in Skyrim, where you have all of these options, but you kind of feel restricted. I mean, by 2021 standards, so to say, I felt restricted in stuff we could do. For example,
that's the mod. Just to clarify, we played the Skyrim Together mod, which allows you to play in Skyrim in multiplayer, and it's not everything is synchronized there. Yeah,
of course, but it wasn't built that way anyway. But for example, Elder Scrolls Online, when it was Elder Scrolls Online. So when we tried it, like, it lacked everything that Skyrim had, and even those Oblivion and Morrowind and whatever, because like you could do certain stuff, like for example rummage a chest or something, but the chest was there for everyone, and there would be like 20 people just running through the dungeon, speed running through the dungeon, exploring everything, and then the chest, I believe, would just resupply magically.
That's
which is ridiculous.
I mean, the entire, that's not really a criticism of Elder Scrolls Online, it's a criticism of MMOs essentially. So since you have so many players, you gotta do that, right? But when you compare it with Skyrim or Oblivion, or Morrowind, when you go there, that item is there, and once you take it, it's gone. And if another player comes around, I mean, he's not gonna come along because it's a single player game, which is actually what the problem is in Skyrim Together, because it doesn't synchronize, if I remember correctly, the items. The items are there for everyone. So even if you loot some chest or something, the other player comes in and he also finds the items there. So that kind of kills from that.
More or less. So if you remember, we had to resynchronize all the time, and chests that were looted remained looted, but enemies that were slain, you could loot them for each player individually, if I remember.
I'm still confused how it exactly works, because it's synchronizing position of the enemies apparently, and it's running off a server. I don't know. Someone is the host. That's a strange thing. In Valheim, they also have these problems. At least I've seen right now.
Okay.
Where, say, if you start playing and someone joins your game on a server, or that doesn't matter if it's anyway when you join, one of the players essentially is designated the one who's running the simulation and the monsters and so on.
Yeah.
And for the other ones, these data packets are probably sent and it's synchronizing like that. But only one is running all that stuff. And once you go further away, then you take that other area of land and you're running the simulation there for those monsters and items.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly a peer-to-peer, because nothing, one is the master and the other ones are waiting for the updates. But yeah, that's a different system. And in that case, you have, because just one client essentially is running it, that one item is only existing in one instance, which cannot duplicate in that sense, which is an interesting way to approach it. I mean,
I did not encounter any problems in Valheim regarding that sync issues or something like that. I had some dropped frames or something, but nothing major as in Skyrim Together. Again, Skyrim Together is just a mod, not made really for that. But yeah, in Valheim I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the people who are even making the Skyrim Together mod, they're crazy, essentially. I mean, it's so ridiculously difficult to make something like that, to make it work for free, and also actually make it work with Skyrim's engine. That's probably the biggest problem there. That's the
biggest hurdle.
Because that engine is the what's called Game Bro engine, was it? From Morrowind, the same engine, and Oblivion, just modified, and then they just renamed it Creation Engine. But you know how I know it's the same? Because back in the day when Morrowind came out, I was playing around with the mods, the construction kit it was called. Now it's called or construction set, and now it's creation kit. I don't know, something like that. Just silly. But that program that comes bundled with it allows you to make the mods and all this stuff. And that program is basically the same for Morrowind and for Oblivion and for Skyrim, because I already made mod. The UI is the same. Like, sure, they changed stuff, but
import your old Morrowind or Oblivion maps.
I did not try, but the extensions I think are the same. ESM files and ESP files.
That's so bad.
I mean, it's fine. Hey, the game worked. We're really pushing it next.
Delivered.
I
mean, it's 10 years old at this point.
Yeah, 10.
More or less.
Almost,
months. Yeah. But back to Valheim, what I wanted to mention is that I was so positively surprised that a game would just allow you to create such moments, And yeah, of course you had those in Skyrim, but as we've established, Skyrim is 10 years old, and back then we didn't try that many things. Maybe I don't know, what I wanted to mention was this funny thing where we found an ore vein and we wanted to transport it, and one of the players was like, "Okay, come over with the ship here. There's a cut through section. We can just surround the continent." And as we were sailing, we discovered that in fact we couldn't, because that bed of water that he was on was just a lake. And there was a tiny bit of land that separated that from the main ocean, so to say. So we had that idea to dig a canal. and we did.
Hence the
and the
Panama
game allowed
operation.
it.
Yes.
Yes, Panama operation.
The Panama actually, mind
We will
you.
show it here. And the funny thing is that in the game, the map didn't update, so to say, that the missing part of the land, and it's still like just a green splotch there, and the lake and stuff. But it was so great. It was so great. We just thought of a thing, and we just could do it.
Yeah, and
That
it's
was
also one of the things which I love there is the fact that it forces you to actually sail to a far away land because you exhausted all the mineral supplies around you. So now you gotta go somewhere completely different with a ship, possibly get killed, just so you can bring ores back to your place so you can smelt weapons and so on. That's just the whole process. And just cutting trees is so fucking enjoying in that game.
Oh yeah.
That is... I don't think very few games actually make me want to grind for something which is a basic resource there as much as Valheim. I don't know very, very few games. Maybe, good God, I can't remember. Maybe Freelancer was interesting in that regard, and which is a very old game now. It's like 2001. That was the first iteration of Star Citizen, essentially. So, which Microsoft took away from Chris Roberts and said, we're going to publish this. Yeah, that game had a very interesting, like, those game loops were interesting. Like, you'd go, I don't know, buy silicon somewhere and sell it in another station, which was more expensive, and then you could make money and buy a better ship. That was a very rewarding game loop, like just shipping around. And in Valheim,
That's the point, having a rewarding or just interesting game loop, which doesn't get old too quick.
And it's organically appearing. It's, it doesn't, you'll always need wood, whatever you're doing in Valheim, sort of. Yeah. Unless you want to speedrun the game, which is, why would you do that? That's like, instead of eating food, you can instead of eating food, you blend it all and just inject it in your stomach, like nutrition. But
people do that.
Why?
People do that
for optimum performance. What?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's not optimum performance because you need to chew. Because chewing releases, I think, some hormones. It's like it preloads your organism to start digesting. So you can't just put stuff in, right? Which is completely unrelated to this.
I mean, your like your spit has also some digestive properties.
Yes, mine. My personal.
Yeah.
This is not true for all people. Just mine. No. Okay. Specific your spit. Yeah.
Specifically Sapper, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the Komodo dragon among people.
Among his fellow men. Look at him.
Amongst his fellow men.
By the way, I wanted just to mention something because it's so relevant. I think it's gonna be. This is the only position in place in time and space that it's actually going to be relevant, and that's regarding the canal. And there's a palindrome: a man, a plan, a canal, Panama, which I remembered because how often do you use palindromes in real life? So there you have it, a palindrome.
Palindrome.
Yeah.
Nice to know.
Speaking of food in Valheim as well. Like the feeding system, in Minecraft, I think there you have like different types of satiation foods, right? So you can eat breads all the time, make a stack of 64 breads or whatever, and walk around with that.
Eat them one after the other.
Yeah, eat the bread. But the point is, as far as I know, meat keeps you satiated much longer. And for so if you're eating like berries and some unprocessed food, it keeps you satiated, much shorter.
For a little while.
Yeah, and Valheim has a similar system to that. It has a duration for each item, and your health is like this base value. Then it scales. I mean, people probably already played it, but that's also a very interesting choice they made. So you can eat like 3 different foods.
Yep.
and they
And
sort of stack nicely.
Different foods, so
Yes.
you have like a varied diet. I mean, you can eat 3 different meats, but
It's a
still,
varied diet.
It has to be varied.
It's a varied carnivore diet, I suppose.
Yeah.
I do not eat beef. I eat also chicken and pigs and birds and Komodo
Oh,
dragons.
shit, they're missing chickens. Oh man, I would love.
Yeah,
to
they don't have chickens and bears.
Yeah.
Although
But they have wolves. Wolves also drop like raw meat.
no, I know, but bears as in enemies. So that would
Yeah,
be
I
horrific
know.
to see a bunch of bears coming at you because the wolves are deadly on themselves. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So yeah,
I have to tell about another anecdote about Valheim, about the whole like taming system that they have. Like, I think you can only tame 2 animals, the boar and the wolf. Maybe the lox, like, which is a big woolly, I don't know, crocodile / mammoth type of thing.
is lox an actual thing though? Is that an
I
actual?
don't think so, because it has like a head of stone.
Yeah.
So
But is it mythological? Is lox a thing? Maybe because I don't know.
I will come to that. Please remind me of that topic. But I just wanted to say about like
Lox.
how I something like that.
Lox.
Is it real? Is it mythological?
All right. Is it real?
So, like, I was trying to actually train block, and I went into the mountains seeking out wolves because they hit hard, and then I started running out of health, and I ran back to my I built a inn, so to say, and I had like some kind of a cellar I dug out, and I just tiled it with wooden floor, and as I was running, I was looking up how to tame wolves, and the thing was you have to trap them in a ditch, in a pit, and then I remembered my cellar is pretty much a pit down there. So I started destroying the tiles, and they just fell in. Threw them a couple of raw meat, came back 5 days later, they were tame. I love that. It's just like, I don't know, happened so like it just happened organically. Somehow.
But it is
I
a
have
modern.
no idea how.
I think there is no other way to do it unless you encase them in some sort of a, I don't know, with a fence or something, fence them off.
Yeah.
Which
but they will destroy it.
Yeah, so
because they do like
a lot of
I
damage.
don't know, the fence has like 100 HP, let's just say. They do like 60 damage per hit. So you actually have to dig them inside the ground in a pit because they cannot damage the
ground,
like the surrounding ground. Yeah,
they're not equipped with pickaxes, right?
Yeah. So that's like kind of the only way. But theoretically, you could have them with that stake fence. I don't know how that's called.
Yeah,
like surround them with those because they have like high threshold. Maybe add another layer and then just toss in the raw meat and then just go far away from them because they won't, I think,
they have to be non-alert or something like that.
Yeah, non-frightened.
Yeah, yes.
But the thing you said about is that real? I bet it's somewhere in there in the mythology, like
the Nordic mythology.
Because, for example, do you remember when we were discussing the anti-poison, that potion or
the
poison
antidote
resistance?
Yeah. No, it's not an antidote. Poison resistance. Yeah.
And I was wondering at the addition of coal.
Yeah, 10 charcoal.
And then I remembered. Wait, I read that in a book somewhere. If you chew coal, actually you could stop some of the. I don't know. You know it in more detail, but
I think
so
it has
awesome,
something.
man.
Yeah, it has something to do with what's it called? Absorption. It's basically.
Okay.
But this is likely has to do with activate charcoal, but it has a very, very large surface area. So anything, which essentially it's like dust sticking up on your fans, like not fans, but what are they called? Those grills on your fans on a computer. It just essentially sticks to the charcoal
The
particles.
blades.
Yeah, and it just moves through your body essentially with chemisorption or physisorption. But
That's so amazing. It was like somehow included in the game.
Yeah,
And I also heard on a YouTube video that the guy was wondering why charcoal of all things. But yeah, it's a
there
real
is
thing.
some logic there. It's not just randomly placed. Maybe there are obviously stuff which are gamey there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're carrying the unprocessed ore. It weighs, I don't know, 300 kilo or whatever the measurement there is. And when you smelt it into a sword, it weighs 3. So,
well, that kind of makes sense if it's heavier than the sword, because you do need a lot of ore to make metal.
Okay,
right?
Sure.
That's
maybe there's a residue.
Yeah, that's the point. Like any ore that you have is, I don't know. I think for copper, before it was, I'm just trying to remember. I think around 3%. So you have a basically you would see it as a rock, a mineral of copper, and in it's 3% of copper by weight. So you're throwing away 97% of it. So in that case, yeah. But for iron, it's probably around, I don't know, 30% or so. It really depends on the ore. So it kind of makes sense, yeah. But it doesn't really matter. Like, who cares?
Yeah, of course. It's allowed to be a video game. But also, I wanted to mention that iron gathering was so strange. You have to go into a dungeon and then beat on some walls that are essentially
rotten
mud scrap.
Which also, but they also give leather.
And historical. Historically, it's also there that the Vikings and the Englishmen had to squish out the iron ore out of mud, out of bogs. I would have to find the reference, but there's definitely something in there because they didn't have just flat out mines.
Because probably the Romans took everything.
Maybe, but it was kind of in swamps, in bogs. And the area where you find the iron ore in the dungeon is actually in the swamp. Which, dude.
And that mud pile, if you look at the texture of it and how it looks like, it has skull bones, and it also sometimes gives leather. So this is, I think, well known that in these, what's it called, swamplands, you have a lot of animals just coming there and drowning and decomposing and going down. This is why we have methane there and so on. It's just a product decomposition. But how the hell does iron accumulate there? I have no idea. That's
maybe land erosion, maybe
other dead warriors who have died with their swords.
Maybe, oh yeah.
which is true, because you get scrap iron. You do not get iron ore.
Yeah, you get scrap iron.
You get scrap iron. So there's a story there hidden into the narrative itself.
Fallen warriors.
Yes.
Essentially zombies. So yeah.
So yeah, that's good, storytelling by environment, which is always a brilliant thing. But you know why it also gets away with these gamey things? It's because the way it looks. That's a strange thing. Valheim has basically everything is pixelated. And everything is pixelated the same way. So in a strange way, you're never brought out of the experience. You're sort of in the flow. Nothing. Once you start, what do you call that? Suspend your disbelief. Start believing in the world. At any point in the game, while you're playing it, you're not brought out. And then the lighting system is just cherry on the top. It looks like a beautiful with particles and that. But because of that, you never question the internal logic of it. It's not like some other game which is super high realistic, trying to be, and then you have some artificial restraint there. I don't remember. Maybe Deus Ex was trying to do that, like the last one, the Human Revolution, which had those janky animations. But you would have some strange stuff, like a wall somewhere. Just why can't I go there? Don't strain me.
I hate those. I hate those.
Like,
oh man.
But I understand why they do it. Like, okay, you're gonna make this at this high level of fidelity, but then you can't make everything. You're just gonna make this little small piece of it. So, yeah, and that's another thing that Valheim does great. It's the scale of it. It's so large.
Oh yeah.
And I love that. It's I know it's infinite, but it's huge. It's really big.
Yeah, I don't think it's infinite, but what I did not try is to see whether the poles connect, whether the equator, like, can you go around the planet? Because when you zoom out, it looks like a planet.
Yeah, or it could be a plane.
Yeah, or a circle.
Yeah, it's
but that would be really interesting.
Either option is cool to me. Either if it's a planet, it's awesome. You can sail around. You can circumnavigate. If it's not a planet, if it's like an edge and then water just falls off, that's also very cool.
Perfect.
Like it's because very.
Even that would be only on. I'm thinking of Viking mythology, where they have like that serpent Jormungandr that's like devouring its own tail. That actually encompasses the world, but I think it only encompasses Earth, Midgard, and Valheim is actually some sort of a purgatory before Valhalla. I'm not sure about that.
I think that's in the lore as well, like of the game itself. Like it's like you've been brought here to show that you're worthy to enter Valhalla by mining ore.
Yeah.
And,
by mining ore.
Yeah.
I mean that's the video game stuff.
Yeah.
The Raven Hugin tells you that you have forgotten everything, that you have to relearn it because you have died. That's why you have to like. But that beginning is even better than like some sequels from like AAA video games where you have like, oh, you went through amnesia or some shit and you forgot everything. And you have to relearn.
Which they did great in Mass Effect 2, where you actually start and you die.
Amazing.
Actually, that's a spoiler, but
yeah. I mean, if you haven't played Mass Effect 2
from 2013, was it? Yeah, it's a really good game. It's probably the best sequel that I know of. Maybe.
Yeah. By the way, you die and your character doesn't never appear ever again in the.
Yeah, that's the end. You just die at the beginning, and you start as a new character, a high elf. Like, have you heard of the high elves? It's
like when you played D&D with that one guy who made you make characters for 5 hours and then killed you all.
Oh god.
That's pretty much Mass Effect 2, so play it.
Yes, it's exactly like, yeah.
Play that.
God, that's I wasted hours. I'll never forgive those wasted hours.
Ages.
Hours.
Decades.
Making a bloody gnome. What was it? A gnome wizard. Traumatic experiences.
Traumatic experience indeed. By the way, just one last mention of Valheim from my side anyway. I just wanted to like also compliment its like progression. You start off just chopping wood and making those like stone axes or flint axes, whatever. But then after you beat the first boss, which is really easy to find, at least on our server, he was like just across the field. Then things get a bit tougher because you have to find the location of the next one in dungeons. So the game naturally like forces you to explore.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm not sure how they found the third one, but like it gets increasingly more difficult to find and beat these bosses, and it's amazing. I think it's just like for a multiplayer game, for quote-unquote MMO, and also that unholy like Trinity or like whatever, Riders of the Apocalypse, early access survival crafting.
Early access survival. It sounds horrible when someone tells you, "Hey, have you heard of this early access survival game?" God, not another one. How many of these? But it's perfect. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful. It's also
brilliant.
1 gigabyte or something like that.
Oh yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Which is
something like that.
How did they do that? I mean, now they have what is it? Call of Duty Warzone is 300 gigabytes, and you need an SSD or something.
We'll put it up somewhere here, but I heard that if you install, I mean, this is just some stupid piece of trivia, but it's kind of bad if you're like a diehard Call of Duty fan and you want to play Call of Duty Warzone. What is it bundled with? Like Call of Duty
Warfare.
Modern Warfare.
Yeah, and now Black Ops probably. I think that's this next one.
Newest Black Ops and is the
Cold War.
Black Ops Cold War? Yeah.
Black Ops Cold War.
If you install those on your on your base console or even on your fucking hard drive from 500 gigabytes, you will not be able to install all of them. I think there was a third game as well, but you cannot fit 3 games.
So we're going back. We're going back to the age of cartridges, right? You can put it in Put another one. This is my Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War hard drive.
And if it doesn't work, just blow on it.
Yeah. So you say that, but that actually, I think it worked with the SATA cable once. So.
Oh God.
Yeah. Which I think they are hot swappable, though. Not sure. I think they are in servers. You can hot swap. You can hot swap a hard drive and an SSD or whatever, those SATA drives. But that would be cool.
I'm not sure with Windows 10 if it's compatible.
I don't know. I mean, there is no real reason why it shouldn't be. Though there's no way I'm opening my PC to try that because I'll just die because of the cables and just. Yeah.
No, just open the power supply and stick your finger in. That's a good way to test whether you have electricity in the house.
It is
or you
a
could
way.
Turn on.
I would say
a way.
A way. It is one way of trying it out.
Yeah. Trying out whether you're alive. You've been wondering if you're alive. Just stick your finger into the outlet and find out.
That sounds like a loading screen for some trying to be edgy game, I guess. Yeah. There are games which are edgy, and a
lot of those have to do with anime, I assume.
No. Well, maybe edgy is always negative. Never has one said, "Oh, this is edgy and cool." I think I don't think so. It's a completely negative term, right? It's completely.
I think. Yeah. But also, I think most of us were edgy in high school, and we thought we were cool. There's that.
Or were we?
Or were we?
Or were we? Did we even perceive ourselves as edgy? That's the question.
No.
Or
if you perceive yourself as edgy, that's totally negative connotation, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Though we're lacking clear definitions here. That's always a problem. What is?
Oh yeah, we'll also set a clear definition here.
Clear definition of edgy. A person engaging in la 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 la. I don't know. Probably it has a definition somewhere in online, which is okay. That for sure. But I mean, like a more official source, like
Oxford
Dictionary. Edgy,
and with the
adjective.
phonetic pronunciation.
A British spelling and American spelling.
Yeah. So I think that's about it about Valheim.
There was one other thing which I actually no, it's not. It has nothing to do with Valheim. But I remembered a game called which also had me immersed.
Okay. That's fine.
immersed with fidelity, not fidelity, but that was the Disco Elysium, which is a role-playing game in the real sense of the RPG. Like you are playing a role, and that game was amazing when I played it first time. However, I always wished while I was playing, I wish this was voiced, because the voice actors were so good, and they're doing that now. The developers are making a new, I think it's even free, I'm not sure, because they made quite a bit of money with this. And and they're making it fully voice acted now, which is a great thing. But it's a completely different game. Again, it's a completely different experience than Valheim, say, but it to me is as enjoyable. And a good thing about I think Disco Elysium is that it was banned in China. That's always a good sign, I think, for a game.
Always want those games banned in China.
Banned in China, that's like a seal of approval. Yeah.
Just a second, sorry if the camera is shaking. I'm just checking my charge level.
Checking here, I'm seeing an earthquake in your location. Okay. No.
Anyway, I actually stopped playing Disco Elysium because I hit a dead end, but I stopped it. I didn't want to start it over because I didn't have time at that point. And I think I will totally play it again once they have like those voiced, like
sure.
Is it fully voiced or is it just like some sections?
The new what they're doing now is going to be fully voiced, because before it was partially voiced. Some characters were, I think, and others weren't, like the critical characters. But
I mean, that's fine.
It was very believable, and it was sort of scary, the entire world there. I don't know how much you...
It was bizarre. I mean, I got to the point, and I kind of... I mean, I didn't cheat it, or maybe cheesed it a bit. I got onto that something like a platform, like a construction industrial platform with those storage containers. Maybe you remember that, I don't know.
Is that the one which has noise coming from the inside, one of them?
Maybe, but maybe I couldn't break it open, I don't know. Anyway, I got to the end of that, where there's like that boss who's like the manager.
The union leader, was it?
Yeah, something like that. And whatever I did, like I reloaded like 10 times, man. I tried everything. I tried buffing myself. I tried different clothing because that's what gives you stats. Each and every time throughout the dialogue, I got to the point where my character just committed suicide out of depression. That was ridiculous. He, like that character talks you down, like that union boss talks you down so much, and
I remember that.
He just killed himself outright, and I just got stuck into the loop because that's the only exit, I think, where you talk with him. And I didn't want to Google it, like I just wanted to find a way, but there was no way. Like there was no way down because you have to like jump over an obstacle or something. And to jump over the obstacle, I remembered now, I didn't cheese it, but I invested some points that I've been saving up into like athletics or some similar thing to jump over that fence without dying, because he needs courage or athletics or something, or a good roll maybe.
Which very strange skills there, difficult to remember.
Yeah, and then I got over that I couldn't go back because like I think you have to finish the whole thing to even get through, because you're like trespassing more or less on that property.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't know.
Jumping
Maybe it
over
was a
a
minor
fence. I have no idea what you did.
See like your jacket, because you're missing like pieces of your clothing or something, and your gun and whatever, and you see like maybe your jacket got stuck on I don't know, fence or something.
I think it was
And-
a tree, if I remember correctly.
I don't know. One piece of equipment was there, and he could like jump over, take a running start and jump over. And once you're over, then you're stuck there in the area until you solve it, probably. I don't know.
Huh.
But I gave up after that. I didn't have the time, and I was disappointed that I continually committed suicide.
Though that's maybe your build was bad.
Yeah,
Maybe your
could be.
build was bad because that game is very old school in that sense. You can have, I think it was in Deus Ex, the first one.
Okay.
So where you could invest all your skills in like swimming and I don't know, some silly thing, and you would have a horrible time because instead of being able to pick locks at level 1 and you know shoot people and sneak, you could swim, and it's completely useless. But they do another thing which they do, at which I think we were sort of spoiled. But then you get in the question of what is a good game design, and that's in Fallout New Vegas, where I think if you set your intelligence to very low or something like that, you can only answer in like stupid responses, but you can still finish the game. Like if all your points are on strength or I don't know agility, but you're a fucking idiot, you can still go through all the options. They coded everything, right?
Yeah, that's. I mean, that was Obsidian, right?
Yes, that's Obsidian, which is what you expected. But the question is that good? Like, yeah, it's for them. They have to make all that. But in terms of a role-playing game, do you want to make that? Do you want to make it like you can go through anything regardless of what you pick? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a stylistic choice, I think. Then, if you look at it as an art,
I don't think so. I mean, there should be consequences, but I mean, Fallout was never really that much of a serious game, so to say.
Yeah, part of it. Yeah, that's the thing. But neither is Disco Elysium. Actually, no. Disco Elysium, on the surface, it looks very silly. But when you dig deeper, it's horrifically deep and dark. And
there's some philosophy, man. Heavy philosophy there.
Yeah, I think which is why they banned it in China.
Yeah,
because they.
I love China.
Yeah, that's the seal of approval right there. Like,
yep.
And I heard also they don't like zombies for some reason, which is so weird. I don't know. It's just a strange cultural thing.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you offended by zombies if you're a very powerful state?
How are people offended by things? 2021 edition.
Well, I suppose you can get offended, like personally offended, but
no, man. It's just stupid.
But there is a feeling of offense, right?
Okay.
People do feel offended. That feeling is there, which means it has some bearing in. It had some bearing in the societies in which we evolved in. Now the question is, what was the ultimate purpose of feeling offended in such societies? Now that's a very deep question, I think. So why would evolution favor people developing such a feeling? What is there to be gained by that? I have no idea.
Maybe
an assault. Maybe it's an indicator of an assault on your status in a group.
Yeah, and then you have like fight or flight. And
yes, and then you have a reaction to it. Yeah.
Maybe like
if your reaction. Yeah, probably. So, but that's very
I think
base.
we took it a bit too far in modern society.
Well,
by getting offended by things.
I don't know. That's then a question. I mean, you have all these leftover feelings and beliefs, well, mostly like gut reactions to things, which are there from evolution, right? And some of them people just take for granted, and others are shunned because we have different moral sensibilities, right? And I don't know. It's weird. what criteria do you use to say, okay, we're gonna keep, and this is what we're not gonna keep in our innate human thing, because we don't like, I don't know, some aggression and stuff like that, and we're gonna keep this because that criteria is also an emotion of some sort. It's not a strictly rational thing. So you're stuck in this loop, whatever you do. But that's a question for philosophers, and we're just drinking beer.
Yeah, we're just drinking beer and enjoying video games. Nothing to see here.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
We can also touch the maybe not for this video, but what do you think about like that whole objectiveness, subjectiveness, like argument, maybe, if you can call it an argument?
Objectiveness, subjectiveness.
I mean, in
games,
like how good is something objectively? Or
you mean questions of aesthetic, like nature, aesthetics, effectively. Oh, that's a fucking nightmare. It's
maybe too deep for this one.
Yeah, probably, but I mean, it's too deep anywhere at any time. I suppose in these cases you would like to read more and talk less for these things, but actually it reminded me of something. I was looking into these things and I never got around to reading about it, and that was the phenomenology of aesthetics. So that's an approach, like in phenomenology, in philosophy, is basically focusing on the qualia, as they call it, the quality of the experience. So you play a game, you drink a beer, and you have some total response of your nervous system, whatever, to that thing, whatever that is, like food or beer or games or whatever. And could you relate that to what you just said about quality of something? Subjective, objective. In that sense, every judgment is subjective. And it only depends on how you perceive it. So why was I thinking about this? Because of the games and the experiences you have in games. Like if you have an emotional experience in a game, is it less real in a sense or not? Because, and also, that experience itself is real, regardless wherever it comes from, right?
Sure, but I mean, games have to be limiting in some sense. Like that would, I think, dig out from the graves that age-old question: do video games make people violent? Like, if you feel powerful and violent or whatever in video games, are you violent in real life? I mean,
you could probably do it.
Are, I mean, they are real. You made them. You played the game. You felt maybe sorrow, maybe even rage,
or love,
love, maybe. I don't know.
For your fellow man.
Sure. Like, okay, maybe not really like love, like towards a member of the opposite gender or the same. I don't know. I don't judge. But like love towards, I don't know, a character, even sorrow towards that character whom you have grown to love. But yeah, same could be said about movies, books.
It's a very general thing then. But you can't say then it's less real, that the experience is there. In fact, that's probably the advantage of games, that you have first you have agency, or the illusion of agency. It could very well be that we all have the illusion of agency, so that we don't have free will. So
if it's not in the code, what can you do?
Exactly, but let's assume now, which is a grand assumption, I suppose, but that we have no free will and that everything is predetermined, which means you don't really have agency. You only have a feeling of agency, right?
Yeah.
So if you assume that as being true, then what's the difference between games and actually doing stuff like with your hands, whatever? There's no difference fundamentally there, because yes, you have a illusion of agency.
You can hurt yourself.
Huh? Sorry?
In real life, you can hurt yourself in real life by poking a fork in your eye.
Yes, and there are mechanisms to stop you doing that. I think, like pain, for example, common sense.
Common sense. Your fellow men
Fellow,
are very worried for you. What are you doing? Stop it.
put the knife down, please. Apply poison to it, another friend says. It will deal more damage.
That friend is usually a power gamer.
Yeah.
Maybe also in life.
No. You don't want to use that knife. You want to use this knife.
Power lifer.
Oh
Oh,
god.
that would be a great TV show. I would watch the shit out of that. Not even a TV show, but like a documentary, like a history show on History TV. I mean,
On History Channel.
like a power lifer. That guy goes and
Always give
invests in shit.
110%.
Yeah, gets the biggest knife for like just a bit of money, and I don't know. Figures out how to cheat life. Cheese life, not cheat.
How to cheese life. Invest
Yeah.
in stocks.
He would probably have like coupons and shit. Like he would be searching out. Like he would buy only online, only with coupons. That would be great.
Yeah, I think he actually.
He would not, why would he buy a knife? He wouldn't need a knife. That would be like wasted, like I don't know, capital.
Yeah. Waste
Would
capital.
he just be like grinding money?
He would be stealing knives from hotels.
Okay, but also what would he? If his
Plastic
profession
knives.
be? Would he like be a doctor or some shit? Because like
I don't know. It's a very.
how would he be right, you know?
I don't know. It's such a. God.
Okay, would he even have the necessity to power game if he was a doctor? If he were a doctor?
Well, being a doctor is no fun.
Okay, sure. Being a whatever CEO of a major company where you, I don't know, just sit around.
You know,
nothing.
the problem with this.
What's the ideal job? What's the ideal job? Like doing something you love and earning like millions. Let's say he has that, but would he still have the need to be a quote unquote power lifer? You know, if you had in D&D, for example. If you had it easy, like just everything just went your way, would you, I mean not you, but would one have the necessity to be a power gamer?
If everything is easy, there's no challenge.
Yeah,
I
but
see.
if there is a challenge and
Then you have to optimize.
yeah.
Huh. That's. Oh god, that's a complicated one.
I mean,
That comes down to that thing which we call the psychology, which they call flow, which is the, I think it's a mental state. I like the terminology, but basically when you're challenged quite like sufficiently, but not too much, and your competency level matches the challenge that you're exposed to, then you're in a state of flow. So essentially, you're not overwhelmed by the challenge, but you're not bored by the lack of challenge, which is always which is essentially what you're asking for. But power gaming is one approach to that problem. I think power gaming in that sense is more of a psychological need to be, or at least comes from the psychological need to be safe, because you want to account
Makes
for
sense.
every possibility. You want to. By securing yourself from this crap, you're reducing your anxiety, and everyone has. I think
that opens a gaping abyssal hole, like about the psychology of power gamers.
it does, but it's not just power gaming. It applies to all, right? Like if you need a game to challenge you. If you need challenge, you need a sense of danger of losing something, and unless there's no risk, then you're not achieving anything. There's no
It's
challenge.
meaningless.
Yes.
I mean, if there is a reward, it's meaningless because you got the participation trophy.
You were the last winner.
Good job.
As who said that? Like George Carlin, I think. Yeah. Yeah. And it's also in Stanley Parable, I think, mentioned when you give the achievement.
Of course.
That's perfect. Right.
Should we wrap up about now? I think we are about an hour
Ish.
like that. Hour-ish.
I think that's good enough. We don't want to upset the overlords at YouTube.
Oh yeah. And the attention span of our dear viewer.
Poor people. What are you doing here?
What the fuck are you doing?
If you manage to stay this long, cheers. Yeah.
Cheers, mate. Or mates.
What's the neutral pronoun for mate? I don't know.
We do not engage in these gender whatever it is, and we just I don't know talk philosophy, drink beer, and play video games.
Yes.
Sometimes we just pile on stupid ideas, and yeah, and then we end it. The end is nigh. Hope you enjoyed this program.
Yes, brought to you by Sapper and Babba.
Babba.
Yes, Babba. The great Babba.